Welcome back to the Mind Body Project. Thanks for taking a little time to join me today. So many times when my wife Kim and I were on vacation, we just love to a train station, wherever it is, we just love to people watch. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that just love to people watch. It's very interesting. To just watch people, to see, we notice what are they wearing, how do they look, what are their mannerisms, how do they act around others, sometimes even their mood. Sometimes you can, especially around the holidays, sometimes Kim, she'll be shopping in different stores and I might just get tired of shopping. And so I'll sit and I'll wait on her. And it's interesting because in the malls, what do you usually see waiting? I usually see a lot of guys, they're in the waiting, there's chairs, sometimes there's massage chairs, but guys will sit anywhere. And so we're all kind of waiting on our wives or girlfriends, significant others to get done. And not typically, sometimes the mood is like, let's just get this done so we can get home. There's some guys that just love to shop. I'm not a big fan of shopping. I like to go in, get what I need, and come out. My wife, she can just shop around, look around, browse around. For me, it's not really my thing. So sometimes a mood can get kind of sour when you're waiting and you think, oh, we're fixing to go home, and then we're not. But we love to people watch. It's just a very interesting thing to watch other people. And so my question today is, do we watch those people around us? And so what do I mean by that? What do I mean, do we watch those around us? And we're going to break down watch letter by letter. And what exactly are we talking about when we watch those around us? Because a lot of us have people we work with. We have coworkers, we have friends, we have family, we have acquaintances. We have all these different people that we're around. And we watch them, but I don't know if we really pay attention to watching them, to seeing them, to see what goes on. So we're just going to kind of break those down. And not only do we watch people, but there's, if you're walking through a mall or an airport, there's people sitting and waiting. Guess what? They're watching you. Just like you're sitting and watching others, they're sitting and watching you. So we're going to start out with the W of watch. The words they use. What words are they using around you? We all have those friends. We all have that family member. We all have that coworker that is just constantly negative. They're just always negative. The sky could be clear blue and sunny, and they say, well, it's too hot. It could be cloudy and cool, and they say, well, there's no sun. So whatever it is, there's always a negative aspect of it. There's always something that goes, there's just no positive, no silver lining in their life, no silver lining in the words that they use. And then are we around people that we know people that are just positive all the time, and we enjoy being around them, and they just make our day better. When we get around them, our energy increases. It just livens up our life and our attitude. And the words they're always speaking is real positive. And then are we around those that use colorful language all the time? Those that, there's a lot of other words that could be used sometimes, maybe in a particular situation, but they like to use the colorful words to describe their point, to describe what they're thinking. And when we watch other people, we look at them and we listen to the words that they're using. What happens when we are around those people on a constant basis? It might be family that we're around all the time. It might be a spouse. It might be a significant other. It might be a friend that we're around that that these are the people that are always in our lives and have a big impact on our life. And the words they use, if we watch the people around us, we'll find that the words they use will tend to be the words we use. So isn't it, if you're trying to be positive and you're always around a negative family member, a friend, acquaintance, coworker, whatever it is, you find yourself starting to be a little more negative. Like they might jump on a bandwagon of complaining about something. Go, yeah, that's right, yeah. And then you find yourself being negative. What happens when you're around someone that is positive all the time? You find yourself, if you want to be negative, it's hard to jump back at that person and be negative to that positive person. You find yourself going, yeah, I guess I could look at it this way, or it could be that way, or I always love your outlook on the situation, whatever it may be. And so you start to, because you don't want to use those negative words around that positive person, it's a whole lot easier if you're trying to be positive and that person's really strongly negative. It's way harder to be positive. It's easy to jump into that negative talk that the words they're using. Same thing with the colorful words. Maybe that's someone that you're around all the time that use that colorful language. What happens? It starts to creep into your vocabulary. You start to use it in your everyday vocabulary, in your everyday conversation vocabulary. So we have to watch the words coming from the people that we're around, because we are watching them. So we're really careful about watching the people that are around us, and that starts with the words that come out of their mouth, and how are they affecting us? And when we watch, don't we see and we kind of evaluate the situation, just like when we watch people in the airport. We're kind of seeing what they wear, how do they act, what's their mood, how are they doing with others. So we kind of evaluate all of that based on our beliefs. And the same is true with those that are around us, that we're watching that group of people with the words. We're evaluating, is that something that I want to be a part of? Or is that something I don't want to be a part of? So if there are words that are being used that you don't want to be a part of, then maybe it's you're not around those people as much. Maybe you start to say, hey, that doesn't really make me feel comfortable. You start to make some changes because you notice that's not what you want. That's what we do. We watch to see, is that something I want to do or not want to do? And if they're using words that aren't suiting to you, aren't best for your goals, for your intentions, then you start to change those. Maybe it's conversation with them, or maybe it's you step back from that friend, that family member. Maybe you're not spending as much time. Maybe you try to change the conversation when it turns negative, when it turns not in the best language. Maybe you try to turn that. So we first want to watch the words that they are using, because those words, we will find that they creep into our everyday vocabulary, our everyday habits. Those words will creep in. Then we look around as we're sitting in the airport. We watch everybody go walking back and forth, where they're sitting, whatever it is, and we start to watch their actions. What are their actions? We're around people that are kind. They always have. I know people like this, and I'm sure you do too. They always have a kind word to say about somebody. They always, you never hear them say anything bad about anybody. It's always complimentary, and this person is this way. I mean, they just have kind words to say about other people. And then we're around those people that they couldn't say a kind word if you paid them to. They're just always saying mean things, and again, you'll find that those words that the people around you are using are gonna coincide with their actions. In other words, it's going to be real hard for somebody to always be talking mean and negative, or talking negative and be kind, because it's because when we say those words out loud, that's how that makes us feel. So if we're talking negative, it's going to make us feel down. It's going to make us feel not very good about ourselves, not very good about others. We're just going to be kind of grumpy, we might be angry. And so that comes out into our actions. Are we being kind with our actions? Are the people around us, as we watch them, are they being mean with their actions? Are they being hateful? Are they being hurtful? Are they being, can you just tell by their actions that they're being joyful? Maybe things they don't want to do, but their actions show that you would never know that because they're going at it with a joyful heart, which is an action. It's just like if we're married, Kim, she might tell me to do something, and I may not necessarily want to do it. It may not be something, she may want me to do something right now, and I may be saying, well, I'm going to get to it, but she kind of wants it done right now. So I go ahead and do it because I know that makes her happy. So I'm going to do it with kindness, okay, I'll do it. I wasn't ready to do it, but that's okay because I know that's what it's going to make her happy, and I want to make her happy, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And so that type of action, and we watch those people around us. It goes with married couples. It goes with in relationships. It goes with family, co-workers, all these different places that the words affect our action. If I'm always negative and Kim wants me to do something, maybe it's take out the trash, and she wants it done right then, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it then. I'm going to do it whenever I want to do it. So my negative words, the negative words I use affects my action because I'm going like, no, I don't want to do it. And so I end up not doing it because of my negative thoughts, my negative action, my words, and that creates my negative actions, my hateful actions. And so we want to watch those around us because, again, those go hand in hand. Negative, positive will work into our actions. And so the people around will notice if we're using the same words as them, we're going to start using or doing actions the same as they do. So we have to look at is, do we want to watch our group, whatever that is, family, friends, coworkers, and are their actions matching their words? And is that something I want to be a part of? And if it's not, then we work on changing that. Whatever means it is, you may get around a little more positive people, you get around a little more joyful people, a little more kindful people, and you'll find that their words are starting to match their actions, and you'll find in your life that those words are starting to match those actions. And then the T in watch. W, words. A, actions. T is thoughts. Now, how do we see those? I was just listening to, I say this all the time. I was just listening to a podcast because it happens all the time. I pretty much listen to one every day, a different one or a continuation of one, but whatever it is. Yeah. The interviewee was talking about brain health and brain science and talking about thoughts. And he said a brain has never been dissected or never been operated on and a thought was seen. And I thought about that. I thought, isn't that true? We can do all these things to the brain. We can do surgery on it and whatever it needs to be, take things out. But what we never see is a thought. A thought can never be pulled out of the brain because we can't see a thought. A thought is abstract. I've talked about this in January about the brain and the mind and how they're different, but they are intertwined. And the same thing is true. A thought comes from the mind. So how do we see those? How do we know those if we're watching the people around us, their thoughts? I don't know how we do that, but how we do that. They share our thoughts with us, and that's how we can see thoughts. And because when the people around us, they have those thoughts, and they share them with us because now they become the physical. Now we hear them. We know what they're thinking. So when people share those thoughts with us, we want to watch those thoughts. What are those? What are those thoughts that they're having? What thoughts are they sharing? Are they similar to us? Are they different than us? And this is kind of one, yes, we want to watch we're watching people around us, we're watching their thoughts. But at the same time, we're not watching to see, are they thinking exactly like we are? Because I don't think that's always a good thing. Because sometimes when people think differently, doesn't it start to raise questions in our mind as, oh, I never thought of that. Well, let me look into that. What do I think about that? How do I feel about that? And so it starts to get our brain working. So I think disagreements, I think different ways of thinking are very beneficial. I think different thoughts are very beneficial. I don't think there is anything wrong with having a group of friends or family or coworkers that you have different thoughts. You don't have to agree on everything. Because again, it starts to stir that thought process. It starts to work that brain of, do I need to think differently? What does that mean? How do I feel? Now let me dive into that more. And over time, that could cause us to begin to think a different way. So just because somebody thinks differently than you doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means we want to watch it, pay attention to it. And is it something that we're attracted to? In other words, that makes our mind go, let me think on that. Or is it something that like, no, that's goofy, and we'll move on. So, but we want to watch the thoughts of those that are around us, because we will, some will start to get those thoughts, but a lot of times we'll question sometimes our own thinking. And so the C in watch is character. And, kind of like thoughts. How do you see character? I always say, when it comes to eating, when it comes to diet, when it comes to nutrition, I love this saying. What we do in private shows in public. So in other words, what does that mean? Well, just because I might be out and about, I might be in the gym, and I tell people I have a shake and a banana. That's kind of my diet. I have chicken and ground beef, and that's. But if I'm eating a bowl of ice cream at night, that's going to show up. Well, what do you mean? That's going to show up in my body. That's going to show up in my weight, my appearance. It's going to show up over time. So I may be doing that in private and not telling anybody, but it is going to show up in public over time. If I continue that behavior, it's going to show up in public. And the same is true with character. Character, oh man, this is a big one. Character is just such a big one. It's what we do when no one's watching. It's so easy to be around people and be on your best behavior, and say all the right words, have all the right actions. And this kind of goes back to, if we back it up, it goes back to words and actions and thoughts. If we're around people, our character says, well, these people I'm around, they think this way, so I'm going to tell them that thought. Or they act this way, so I'm going to act that same way. Or they use these words, so I'm going to use these same words. But that's not really who you are. So it'd almost be like if you meet somebody in church on Sunday morning, you should be meeting the same person on Sunday morning that you meet on Friday night. It should be the exact same person, exact same words, exact same actions, and exact same thought process. That is the character. Doesn't matter where you are. That is who you are. So if 5 different people get together and they talk about, they start comparing, oh, I know him this way, that way, they should be all talking about the same person. Your character is with you all the time. And your character is the one thing that nobody can take away from you, but it's what you do in private when nobody's watching that shows up when you're around people. And sometimes, and again, watching people, their character, we're looking for that we're not always hanging around people that are great friends to us, but really mean and ugly and nasty to other people. Is that a character that we want to be around? Is that a character that we want to take that role on? No, it's not. We want to have the same character, whether whatever people were around, we have that same character. If we're by ourselves, we're going to do the same thing by ourselves as if we're in public. I'm going to eat the same way in my kitchen on a Saturday night the same way as if I was out with a group of friends on a Saturday night, I was going to eat the same way. The same thing is true the way we act, the way we treat others, the way we talk to others, all those things that go into our character. So we want to watch character. And the last one is the H, is habits. What are the habits of those around us? A gym is a great example. If you walk into a gym and you see all these fit people and you need to lose, let's say, 50 pounds, a lot of times that can be very intimidating. And you want to walk away and say, no, I'm not going to that gym. It's too many fit people. Well, how did they get there? It's because of their habits. So if you want what somebody has, what are their habits? If you want to be fit, what is that fit person's habits? They go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. They eat 4 to 5 meals a day. They eat lean meats. They eat clean carbs. They have a low sugar diet. They eat healthy fats. They meditate. They get plenty of rest. All these different things are habits that have gotten them to the place where they are. And so we want to watch, what are the habits around the people we're around? And do we want to take those on? Or are there things that if it's habits we're trying to get rid of, then we don't want to hang around those people because they're going to continue those habits. If it's we want to lose 50 pounds, let's go hang out in the fittest gym in town because whatever they're doing is what I want to do. And so I'm going to find out, what are they lifting? How are they working out? What are their food plan? What's their rest? All these different things. I'm going to find out what they want. Same thing, if we want success, what's that successful person doing? I'm going to go hang out in a room of successful people. A year and a half ago, I was at John Maxwell conference, and I told my wife this morning, I'm maybe hard to believe, but I'm very much an introvert, and so when it comes to meeting new people, sometimes it's a little challenging for me to talk and all that, so it's a little challenging. So I told her that morning before I left the hotel room, I said, I'm going to go find the table, because at meal times we'd sit at a table, and this was for breakfast, and I said, I'm going to go find the table that is the most intimidating to me and have breakfast with those folks. And so I purposely, usually I'd get down there early so that way I can be the first one at the table so everybody has to come join me, and because I don't like to be the last one in the group and all these different issues. But so I waited a little bit later to go to breakfast, and because I wanted more people to be down there in the breakfast area and at table, and I think the table sat like 8 people. So I got my breakfast, went through the line, and there was about 6 people at this table, all dressed very nice, very business, very much intimidated me, very, very much. So I sat down, introduced myself, and made conversation with the table, with several different people at the table, exchanged cards and numbers, and it was a great exchange. But the reason I told her that is because if they intimidate me, why do they intimidate me? And it's probably because maybe they dress a little bit nicer, maybe they're a little more successful. That's my thought process. So I'm going to sit down at that table that intimidates me and find out what's going on. Why do they, and I found out we're all real similar. They're working on things that scare them. They may be bigger than mine, but they're still fearful of different things. They had some great ideas. They had some great feedback. And so it was a great exchange by sitting down at a table that intimidated me because I wanted whatever I thought they might have. And that's what the same with habits. Whatever, if someone else is fit, if someone else is successful, if someone else has a good marriage, if they have a good relationship with religion, what habits are they doing? And let me do those habits. Let me watch what they're doing and be a part of that habit. And when it comes to watch, it's the words. We're watching the words of people that are around us, the actions, the character, the words, the action, the thoughts, the character, and the habits. And I'm always reminded of this, and this brought it back to this, is inspire, never require. And so when we're watching, people around us aren't requiring us to act that way, but they're inspiring us one way or the other. And same is true with us. If we're watching someone else is watching us. We should never be so naive to think that we're watching them and no one is watching us. And you see how that ripple effect happens. We watch the person. There's a person watching us. There's someone watching that person, someone watching that person, and how that ripple effect is so huge. So what kind of ripple are we wanting to send out? We want to be that person that inspires and never requires. So if we're inspired by somebody, we're going to inspire somebody else. And somebody else they're going to be inspired by someone else. And it goes down like that because of the people we watch around us. And if we're watching those people around us, there's other people watching us around them. So be mindful of watching and be mindful that you are being watched. So thanks for taking a little time to join me today. I appreciate it. And hey, we'll see y'all next time. As I tell my wife, come every night before I go to bed. It's Bomb of the Ninth. W.A.T.C.H.ing out.